and welcome back to my channel, Live a Thousand Lives. My name's Janaea, and today I'm going to be telling you about my favorite books of 2017. So, I have 12 on this list. I'm going to give you the first 9 and then give you my top 3 favorites at the very end. So, the other ones are in no certain order or anything, but the top 3 are. So, let's get into this video. One of the first books I read in January actually became one of my favorites, and that is Beauty and the Beast and the Lost in a Book. I keep saying the Lost Book. Lost in a Book by Jennifer Donnelly. Now, I have read stuff by Jennifer Donnelly before, and I love her. So I was like, oh, Beauty and the Beast, awesome. I want to read this book so that I can, see what else she's got, It's such a great book. It's so immersive, but it still has the classic, Beauty and the Beast feel to it. But it also has some, more magic into it. So, it's super fun. I loved every minute of it. It's classy. It's a really good book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 was because it was a little slow at times for me. But other than that, I loved everything about it. So the second book on this list, I also read in the beginning of the year, and that was The Assassin's Game by Christy McKay. Now, I went into this thinking, I am probably going to hate this book because it has to do with some weird, thriller, scary thing. And I don't do thrillers, and I don't do, scary. And I realized that it wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be. And the reason I got it was because for some reason the covers, drew me in every single time. And so I wanted to read it. And I read it, and I was fascinated by it. It's basically about this school that's on an island, and people go there and are sent there by their parents, and they're kind of more spoiled, rich kids and stuff. But there's this thing called the Assassin's Game, and it's supposed to only be fake, but not this year. But anyway, it's super good, and I really enjoyed it. And there was a twist that I didn't really see coming, and so I was fascinated. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So, the next books, but I'm combining them because it's a series, is The Water Fire Saga by Jennifer Donnelly. Jennifer Donnelly, this is the first series, the first things I read by her were the Water Fire Saga, and I finished them all this year, or this last year. So I love everything about mermaids, and these are mermaid books, and they are phenomenal. I love this series. I will read it over and over and over again. I've read the first one twice already because I got it thinking it was a standalone, and it wasn't. So I just had to wait for the other books, and I didn't buy any until the last one was released because I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and then because I always have to reread the first one before I can start the other ones. So I was like, I'm not going to reread the first one every single time a new book comes out. I just don't want to do that. I want to just read them all at the same time so I can read from beginning to end. So I finally waited and got the last book, and it blew my mind. They're so good. You follow these 4, 6, now I can't remember, 4 or 6 not princesses, mermaids, and they have to basically fight an evil being, to save their kingdoms and stuff. and I love everything about it. Like, I felt like I was in the world with them, and it just brings me such joy. I love the Waterfire Saga. Just love it. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, I gave those a 5 out of 5 stars. All of them. They're phenomenal. I absolutely love them. So check those out. The next book I read, and this was close to being on my top 3 of 2017 because I loved it and I think about this book all of the time. And it's by an author I've never read before, but I saw it at my library and I was like, I have to get this book. It seems interesting. Which is funny because I don't really like circuses, and this is a circus book. I don't know what's wrong with me, guys. But anyway, that's 2 on this list that I didn't think I would like that I picked up anyway. But this one's called Freaks, Freeks, by Amanda Hawking. And this follows this girl who's in the circus, and she's been in the circus since she was born, basically. And it goes through their struggles and everything. And then they come to this town, and some weird things start to happen. And she's trying to figure out if she wants to even be in the circus anymore while dealing with all this stuff. And deaths are happening, and it's crazy. It's phenomenal. I loved every minute of it. I want to go and find this book, but every time I go to find it, to buy it, I can't find it. So I need to just get settled down, like go to Book Outlet or Powell's or something, and buy it because I absolutely love it and I want it to be part of my collection. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So it's definitely in my top 10 favorite books of all time, as is a couple of the books on this list. They made their way up, so that's awesome. The next book I read that I really like was Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. I was kind of surprised because I had heard a lot of people say that they didn't like this book because most people had thought it was a Mulan retelling, and I can see where people get that from, but besides the fact that the main character is a girl who dresses up like a boy, I don't see Mulan really, but I tried to just, go into it with an open mind, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it was slow for some of it, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I loved the characters. Like, I feel like there's so much more to learn about them, which there is because it's a series. Look at me. So I have this problem with picking up a book thinking that it's only going to be a standalone, and then it ends up being a series. It happens to me all the time. I did it with the Waterfire Saga. I thought Deep Blue was just a standalone book. Nope. Did it with Flame in the Mist thinking it was just a standalone. I had not heard anywhere, no one on BookTube talks about the fact that Flame in the Mist is not a standalone book. It is a series. So people, I don't know if people don't know that yet, or if people ignore it, but that's probably why no one liked the first book as much, because they went into it thinking it was a standalone, and it's a series. And so the ending doesn't end, where you think it should, because it's a series. So I really liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I mean, the only reason I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 was because it was a little slow for me. And if a book is a little slow, I just can't rate it 5 out of 5 normally because it takes me forever to get through, and I don't think that it should. That one didn't take me as long, though. It took me about a week, but it didn't take me like, oh my gosh, forever, But yeah. The next 2 books I'm combining because they're part of a series, and that is The Trials of Apollo 1 and 2 by Rick Riordan. Now, I listened to these on audiobook, and my kids and my husband listened to some of these with me. They're phenomenal. Like, the guy who does the audiobook for Trials of Apollo, he's amazing. Like, he's so funny, and he brings the characters to life, and I just absolutely adore him. I I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, what did you expect? Like, Rick Riordan is like one of my favorite authors. I love everything he's ever put out. I haven't disliked a book yet that I've read. And the only book I haven't read is the last 2 Magnus Chase books. So, you know. And I don't think I haven't read any of his middle grade book. Like, I think he's like a co-author with someone on a book. I haven't read that either. But all his like Percy Jackson-ish types books, I have read. And of course I love them. So, you know, 5 out of 5 stars. And I don't necessarily want to go too much into the Trials of Apollo because it is a series and it's a side series from a series. So I don't want to ruin anything. But it's basically about the god Apollo, and he gets punished, and it's him dealing with his punishment, basically. And it's hilarious, and it's great. I love it, and I think everyone should read all of Rick Riordan's books, to be honest. The next one I read, which was a surprise, I didn't think I would like this one either. I picked it up at the library because it's a Phantom of the Opera retelling, and I hated Phantom of the Opera, the movie. Never read the book, but I'm assuming I would hate it. But that was Roseblood by A.G. Howard. And it started off kind of bad for me. I did not really like it. The first like 50 pages, I was like, oh my gosh, why am I reading this? I almost DNF'd it. But I was like, no, keep going. You know, this cover is beautiful. And the story sounded interesting to me. So I kept going. And I fell in love with it. Like, it's amazing. It's a 5 out of 5 read for me. Which is the only book that I gave a 5 out of 5 that started off bad for me. But by the end, I was blown away. I absolutely loved every minute of it. It follows this girl who goes to a singing school in London, I think. Yeah. Somewhere over there. And she, you know, doesn't want to sing because bad things seem to happen when she sings. And so she doesn't want to sing, but her mom and her grandma have sent her there. And then weird things kind of start happening to her once she arrives. And it's phenomenal. It's really a good book. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. The next one was another surprise to me. I picked this one up at one of the bookstores near me. And it was one in those brown wrappers that has like words on the front that kind of give you a really broad, vague description of what the book is about. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do it. Support my local, you know, bookstore and get a book. You know, who doesn't want books? But I didn't actually think I would like it because, you know, who knows? And when I opened it, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, man, I was hoping it was something that everyone's been reading, you know? But that book is Breakfast Served Any Time by Sarah Combs. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I've talked about this book. It is phenomenal. It's kind of reminds me of When Dimple Met Rishi because these kids go to this school to take a college course in the summer of their senior year. Or before their senior year, and so they go to take this college course and they end up on this mystery, and it's exciting and engaging, and it was so good, like so good. And it's about self-discovery and like finding out who you are, and it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. And you know, the only reason I didn't give it a 5, I think, is because of the fact that it was a lot like When Dimple Met Rishi, and I loved that one even more. And I couldn't see putting them on the same playing field, you know. But I did truly love it a lot. The last one before we get to my top 3 is the Amulet series, the graphic novel series by Kazu Ishi, I think. I gave it an overall 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love them. I've read the first 7, 6, 7, 7. I've read the first 7. And they're phenomenal. Like, it's what got me into graphic novel reading. And I mean, I've been reading graphic novels now ever since. I'm addicted to graphic novels now. And it's because of the Amulet series. Because that series is amazing. And I don't see many people talking about it on BookTube. But, you know, it's a great series. It's full of adventure and excitement. And I love every minute of it. But also, it brought me and my son something that we have in common, and so that's really special to me. But it follows this girl and her brother, and they, the first one, basically, their mom goes missing, they have to find her, and she goes, like, this weird creature takes her. So they have to travel into a world that they didn't know existed, and they go to find their mom. And then the rest of the series kind of has to do with that and them saving the world, and it's truly phenomenal. I really, really like it. So I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so my top 3, we're going to go from 3 to 1. So number 1 being my absolute favorite of the entire year. But number 3 is A Love Worth Giving by Max Lucado. He's a phenomenal author. I love everything I read by him. This book has to do with loving the people that are hardest to love in your life, the people who steal from you, the people who cheat you, the people who lie to you, the people who have bad attitudes, and even loving yourself when you're hardest to love. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal book, and I think everyone should read it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Someone is calling me. Anyway. The next one, number 2, was, and this was really hard to not put as number 1 because I loved it a lot too, but the number 1, it's my favorite. Number 2 is Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy, and I'm sure you've all heard about Ramona Blue. I'm sorry, there's kids in the background. I'm sorry for all the noise. Okay, so number 2 on my list is Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I felt absolutely in love with the characters in this book. I loved the self-discovery and the relationships in this book. Ramona Blue is such an important read, I feel, because it shows family dynamics as well as finding yourself and figuring out who you are as a person, and that, you know, just because you may have thought you were something doesn't necessarily mean that that's who you have to always be. It's phenomenal. I really, really loved everything about Ramona Blue. And it touched so many of my heartstrings. Like, I cannot wait to own that book. I want to reread it. And I listened to that on audiobook, and you know, I don't know if that's the reason or what, but I loved everything about Ramona Blue. You know, it follows Ramona, and she's a proud and proclaimed lesbian, and she has a girlfriend, and her girlfriend ends up leaving, and they, you know, end up breaking up, and she goes on kind of this weird path. She doesn't really know what to do. You know, she thought she was so in love with her and all this stuff, and then she ends up falling for someone that she's known her whole life, that was gone for a while and has come back, but it's a boy, and she's confused now. Is she a lesbian or isn't she a lesbian? And it's phenomenal. I loved it. Everything about it is just phenomenal. And that's why it's on my top 3. Okay, my very, very first love of 2017 is When Dimple Met Rishi by oh my gosh, I cannot ever pronounce this author's name. Sandan Menon. I'm not sure. I don't think that's right. But anyway, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It's so funny. It made me laugh. It made me cry. It was just so good and heartwarming, but heartbreaking at the same time. And I just, I want to read it again already, and I just haven't because I've been trying to get caught up on my TBR, which, you know, is a good thing, but I think I might read it soon. But anyway, this story is about Dimple, and she goes to a college competition where she can meet, win and get her app developed and all this. And she can meet like her idol kind of hero if she wins. And her parents end up letting her go, but what they don't tell her is that they've arranged for her arranged marriage husband to also be there. And she has not anything good to say about this when she finds out. She is completely rude, and it is hilarious, and the whole story is funny, and it's perfect, and it's just, I loved every minute of it. I get so warm and like, I love it. I just love it. Whenever I think about it, I just, it's just, it's so comforting, and I just love it, you guys. Okay, anyway, those are my favorite books of 2017. Let me know what your favorite books of 2017 were. I would love to hear, and sharing those with me, if I haven't read them, then I get book recommendations, and I'm always looking for book recommendations. So, share with me. Also, remember, a reader lives 1,000 lives, and so can you. So keep on reading, everyone. Bye!